Welcome back to Mosaic. And prior to the break, we were talking about getting the appointment, how you do it, the fact that you would go anywhere, any time of the day, be very accommodating in order to raise money and to talk about your passion. I remember reading in your book, too, we had Naomi Levine on this program, who's an outstanding fundraiser for NYU. And the quote that you put in there was wonderful. She doesn't use postage stamps, she wears out the shoe leather, which means that she really, the face-to-face, one-on-one is really the best way to do it.
Absolutely critical. Yeah. And in fact, Federation, which does many special events, lunches and dinners and award ceremonies and the like, I think of those special events as worthy in and of themselves, but really as critical to getting that face-to-face time.
Yeah.
So if you strategically think about that special event and say, here's what we'd like to come out of it. We'd like 12 appointments with 12 people who are sitting at 12 different tables. And all we want is 45 minutes of their time. So let's see whether during the course of the evening we can get the right person to secure that 45 minutes of time. So you see the special event not only as worthy in and of itself, but as a vehicle to move forward and extend and expand the base of your giving.
Yeah. You know, we're going through difficult times. It's one thing to ask people for money and for assistance, no matter how wonderful the opportunity may be. But we're going, when the economy is good and people feel more comfortable, but we're going through a difficult period now. A lot of the major philanthropies have had to cut back. They haven't raised the money that they ordinarily would have, and it's been difficult. How do you raise money in this period? Is it different from from a more affluent period of economic times?
Well, I'm going to disagree with you a little bit.
Okay.
I think overall, the economy's been down and we've had a recession, but America remains the wealthiest country on earth. And the recession has had a differential impact on the poor and on the working class and on the middle class and on the wealthy. And in fact, in many cases, the wealthy have gotten even wealthier. This whole tax debate that's been going on nationally is premised in part on a view that the wealthy have done fairly well during the course of the Bush administration and even through the most recent period. Most large gifts come from assets, not from income. They don't come from the payroll of the person that you're asking for money from. They come from their growth in assets. And they have tended to increase. I mean, if you think about this, when President Clinton was inaugurated, the Dow Jones Industrial Average was at 3,100.
Right.
It closed yesterday at 11,300. So it's 300% of what it was 15, 16 years ago. And so while property values have declined, and while there has been a rocky period in the stock market, and 2008 was a really tough year, because people were really worried about financial institutions going under.
Oh, yes.
It was very serious. I think we're in for a healthy period now, and the way we deal with it is we just ask more. Fundraising is like baseball. 1 out of every 3 hits makes you a most valuable player. It's not like a college exam where if you answer 1 out of 3 questions correct, you flunked.
Yeah.
So if you're going to be a most valuable player, it means for every yes you receive, you're going to receive 2 no's, which to me means see me later. It doesn't really mean no.
You're not defeated.
Right,
okay.
Absolutely not.
I like that, I like that.
But you have to
resiliency.
You have to step up to bat as often as possible on behalf of your cause. So one of the questions I always ask at Federation is, so how many people, how many prospects were seen this year compared with last year?
Yeah.
And so organizing your volunteers, solicitors, and getting the staff to do more and more appointments. The money for charity is out there. It's not in our offices. It's out where people are working and living their lives. And Naomi's right. You've got to work on that shoe leather.
Shoe leather, right. You know, you also have to have a very good sense of humor. And you write in this as a chapter and a little bit of a story about Beverly Sills. Mm-hmm. Could you share that with our viewers?
Absolutely. Beverly Sills was my first chair, and she was 74. I knew her from her early 50s, but she was 74 when I came to Lincoln Center, and she was my chairman. And the first day I was there, a development director handed her 2 index cards with a script to make what in the sales industry they call a cold call. Mm-hmm. So she had no idea who she was calling, and she followed the script. She dialed the number herself. Mm-hmm. Person answers the phone, and she says, "Is this Mr. Zielinski?" And he says, "Yes." And she says, "I'm Beverly Sills. I'm 74 years old. You're 67. And mutual friends of ours cannot believe that we have never met." Uh-huh. And he says, "Name 2. And she says, "So we can fix that by having breakfast or lunch together this week." And he says, "Name 2. Uh-huh. And she says, "Would you prefer breakfast at Michael's on Monday or lunch at the Four Seasons on Wednesday?" And he says, "Lunch at the Four Seasons." And she goes to the lunch and she comes back. And I say, "Beverly, how did it go?" And she says, "Well, I have a little bad news and then I have terrific news. The bad news is he made me pay for the lunch. Would you believe that? The terrific news is I made him pay for the Mostly Mozart Festival." Yeah. So that's the spirit.
Wait a minute, was that the one that where she opened up, somebody gave her a check, and she had it in a sealed envelope, and when she was coming back in the cab from the meeting, she opened up, you continue.
Well, she went to see Douglas Dillon. She had been head of the New York City Opera, and she went to see Douglas Dillon, who was chair of the Metropolitan Museum, and she talked to him about the City Opera, and he said, "Beverly, let's just gossip. I know why you came here." And then he wrote out a check, and when she went across town, she looked at the check, and it said Metropolitan Opera, and it said for $50,000. So she got to her office, she picked up the phone, and she said, "Douglas, you didn't listen to a word I said. I'm sending you back the check, write a new one. Make it out to the New York City Opera. And by the way, would you add a 0, please?"
And he did.
And he did.
Well, okay, so humor does play a factor into it.
It's a big help.
But also she forged ahead, and you know, she wasn't defeated by anything.
Absolutely not. She had a lot of personal...
You have to have a lot of courage.
She had a lot of personal tragedy in her life with her kids afflicted by disease, and she had an enormous energy and sense of humor, and was a strong believer in her cause, and was always upbeat and optimistic. People give to upbeat, optimistic people. They don't give to causes that seem to be failing or flailing. They give to causes they respect, but they also give to people they admire. Mm. And so it's very important that the person who asks is someone who the donor really feels good about. That's when you can find both the cause they respect and the person they admire. That combination is pretty powerful.
Yeah, why'd you write this book?
Because, as you said at the opening, people are so reluctant to ask for money. They prefer to walk on hot coals. And I get the questions all the time about how to do it. And I thought I would sit down and demonstrate that asking for money is a form of leadership. Asking for money is a form of salesmanship. It's the same skills that help you relate to the media, the same skills that help you relate to government officials, the same skills that help you to lead a board of directors are the same skills that allow you to raise money. So I wanted to provide clues and cues and make it easier for people all around the country who are struggling to advance excellent causes to have a little guidebook to be able to do so.
It really is terrific. I mean, it's for a layperson, it's a wonderful book to read. And it taught me a lot, literally.
Thank you.
You also have to have an element of trust, an element of trust not only in the philanthropy that you're representing, but also the person that you're coming to has to have trust in you. When you ask for something, they have to believe that you are not just doing it as a job, but you're doing it because you believe in the cause.
Absolutely. And then after you receive the gift, That's just the beginning of the relationship. Then you report on the gift. You have the donor hopefully see the benefits of their philanthropy, come to the classroom, see what they made accomplished, go to the hospital room and see the difference in the way it looks. Look at the scientific accomplishment, attend the performance, see the refugee who benefits from the philanthropy. That's extraordinarily moving when people see can witness the relationship between what they've given and the result.
You know, you're right about that. It's so much easier to give to a tangible thing because you can see it. You know, when I ask for Federation dollars, it goes to about 168 countries around the world, including the United States, the Jewish communities. It takes an enormous leap of faith to ask a donor to say, trust me, you know, the Federation is going to do terrific things with your dollars, but they have to trust me. Also, of course, is a track record. But that's a difficult ask.
It is, and so one of the challenges to Federation is how do they make their work, the work of Federation, palpable? Maybe a lot of the asking should happen at the agencies. Maybe there should be greater use and visits to the agencies themselves to make it real, to make it happen. Obviously, and a very important fundraising tool is travel. I mean, travel to Israel and travel to those countries where this work is done. Many change forever. When I ran the International Rescue Committee, there was nothing more powerful than taking people to refugees, having them join me in Rwanda, join me in the Eastern Congo, come to East Timor, come to Bosnia, and see what the difference their philanthropy can make. They would change for life.
Yeah.
They would really change for life.
You know something, when I visit Sarah, that lives in Century Village, and she's welcoming my gift of a visit and sometimes a meal, and I walk up 4 flights to Sarah that lives in Kiev and tell her I'm here and I'm coming from the JDC with money from that I raised the Federation. All of these things are so impactful. But I have to tell you something, you're doing a great job. It's such a pleasure to have met you, to read your book, and to learn a little bit more. Thank you. Good luck. Keep it up.
Thank you very much.
And thank you for being with us as well. Be with us again next week when we have another look into the Jewish world. Have a good day from Mosaic.